Was that?
No.
That?
Sorry.
Oh, come on. We crushed that last job. Were they even watching? Oh, that's gotta be.
We have come to once again inquire about our Freegunner status.
I am prepared to bask in glory.
I don't think there's gonna be any basking today, buddy. We're still locked out.
But did you tell them I have drank of the ancestral blood trees on Kalos?
And that I keep a very tidy ship.
We cannot tell them anything until they unlock the Freegunner frequency.
Probably not gonna happen. What? Most people never get what they want. Set your expectations low.
Welcome to Between the Joysticks. Press start and then we're off. Nick and John, they've got the sauce. Breaking news and some hot takes. Even if there's some mistakes, Nick is captaining the ship, while John gives thoughts straight from the hip. But when their powers combine, we're all in for a hell of a time. Between the Joysticks is the best. Up to 6 things they will address. Tell all your friends and settle in. Between the Joysticks now begins.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 104 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host, John Chan. John Chan.
Doing the Weeb thing again?
Yeah, you're still Weeb. What were you watching earlier?
Demon Slayer.
Yeah. So until you stop watching it,
all right.
You're going to be John Chan.
John Chan? All right.
Is that all right?
Yeah, no, I anything to be associated with Japanese people and their culture, I'm honored.
Okay.
I was just making sure I'm on the same page, that's all.
Yeah, no, I think it suits you well in your new Weeb self. It's disturbing.
Can't wait to power myself up like these shonen? Is that what
yeah,
this is? Yes, like all these shonen boys.
Yep. You're gonna go Super Saiyan.
Nah. Whatever the opposite of that is. You know, shonen type anime where everybody gets progressively weaker. Riveting stuff.
Yeah. Good thing this villain didn't come a few months ago. We weren't as weak. All right. I wanted to talk about an important milestone that happened between the last podcast and this one.
Yes, I have reached my low weight in adulthood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just get it over with.
Yes.
The worst part about being around people getting in shape is them talking about
can't stop
them.
talking about it.
Yeah. It happens to everybody, so I just allow it.
Yeah, you were
Just
the one that
tolerate
said you're
it.
going to get addicted to it, and I'll get fucking right I am. I'm like, oh, yeah, look good.
It happens. You just have to cross a certain threshold of achievement, and then you'll, like you said, either your weight gets down or you start noticing changes in your body.
Or that girl you have a crush on says, hey, ooh, you look good. And you're like, oh,
yeah, there you go. God.
Oh, my God.
If only.
Oh, my God. All right, anyway, I'm done disrupting you. Go ahead.
No, the milestone I'm referring to is video game related, and that is that the Nintendo Switch now has surpassed the original Nintendo for the longest running period between two consoles.
For Nintendo consoles, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So, the period between the NES and the SNES was 7 years, 129 days. As of July 11th, Switch is longer. And as we know, it's going to hold on to this record for a little bit longer into next year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you think about this? What do you think about? Is this an accomplishment for the Switch?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an accomplishment, but it also is important to note that I think whatever came after the Wii U was probably going to get a good amount of legroom if it was successful, right? Like, when we were transitioning into the Switch era, there were some people saying that, like, you know, Nintendo might not even do something. The Wii U's selling so bad. Like, do they even bother with hardware anymore? And they went this route, this hybrid thing that hasn't been done before, and people were still like, I'm not sure, but, you know, it was the move to make. So it's not surprising, not shocking that this is the one that's held on to the market the longest. It's, I think, short of the original Game Boy and DS, the highest selling Nintendo platform ever, and those are exclusively handheld machines. So it's standing at the top of the mountain when it comes to, big boy consoles. So hats off to Nintendo, hats off to them. I think that's just more proof that the Switch 2 will just be an iterative version of this because
for sure,
why fuck with something that's so successful? But Nintendo also loves to just make you kind of scratch your head and go, huh? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, hats off to them. I'm sure they are fucking thrilled with all the money that they're, playing around in.
Yeah, I'm sure they sell Switches today at such a profit because it's been, there's, usually when consoles launch, they're sold at a loss. They want you in that environment.
That new tech.
And it's new technology. But when you can have consoles stick, and Nintendo doesn't play this game anyway. They're notoriously underpowered machines when they launch, so they're always making money from day one, and just things just the license to print.
Yeah, they I don't know. They have video game immunity from everything. That's crazy. Crazy over there.
And just so smart to combined, the 3DS and the Wii U into one platform. So you get a year like this, which would be considered an off year because they're getting more 3DS looking games in Mario and Luigi and Legend of Zelda, names escaping me.
Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes
and
of Wisdom.
Brothership.
Yeah. You get games like that, and I think if they're supporting another platform, you wouldn't have gotten those games. So
yeah, they figured it out.
Yeah, congrats
Fuck you,
to them,
Nintendo. Fuck you.
Yeah, I would love to see a Switch 2. That would be something. But
yeah, next year.
Yeah, 2025, the greatest year in video games.
You're gonna ignore it anyway.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, if IGN's number 1 and 2 greatest games of all time weren't enough to entice you, like,
yeah, that's to buy a whole platform.
What would get Nick Bent? Ooh. Yeah, shake your head at me. I don't care. What would get you to buy a Switch 2?
Backwards compatibility, which I'm sure they'll do, because then I can go back and play the old games.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming they'll have a 3D Mario at launch.
So
it's been a minute.
It's just the high quality games that speak to you, and then having a bigger library. Like, that's kind of what you're.
Yeah, there's just not enough games that I want to play on it, to be honest. It's,
No, it's. I would say the Zeldas, Mario Odyssey, and there's probably gonna be people that are just so mad at me for Super Smash if you're into it.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say those are like you gotta play these. Like, it's just like they just live in the land of very good. Like they make a couple things for everybody, but not. I don't know anybody who's playing every single Nintendo game that comes out.
Right, and it wasn't. Then some of their brands are just their brands. Animal Crossing. Like I'll never get into an Animal Crossing, but that's one of their best franchises.
I would say you should go back. Like if you do you should play like Metroid Dread.
Yeah, that would be one for
that'd
sure.
Be a good one.
I would play. Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, do you think they will? Is there any chance the successor is announced this year?
Announced? No.
Not even Keeley time.
No.
December.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I just think we live in a new world where there's no point in having things long lead-ins. I would think that the launch of this thing will be in the spring of next year, but I just think they would probably save it for themselves for one of their little directs.
Yeah,
or something
that
like
was
that.
Incredible direct.
Yeah, but I just I think
blowout.
we just everything is closer to the vest. Everything is a little more secretive than previous. So no, I think they kind of just let the year ride out and then show it to us and give it to us next year.
Yeah, I think you're right. God, next year, it's when we have to do our preview of next year, it's going to be like, oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have to rank some things that you don't want to have to rank.
Yeah. Yeah, predictions will be out there too. So, all right. You ready to move into the show?
Let's do it.
All right, this is how the show works. John and I can both bring up to 3 things to talk about for a total of 6 things. It can be a video game we're playing. We both checked out that Concord Beta this weekend, and I've near finished Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I'm on the final chapter, so I'm comfortable reviewing it. It can be a topic. It can be a news item.
Whoa, I beat one enemy in Elden Ring. You can throw that in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, did that too.
One boss. Hey,
One boss.
it was a roadblock, so it was a big boss.
Yeah.
It can be a news item, and we're going to talk a lot about the Xbox news. Several things have come up in the Xbox camp over the last week. And then finally, it can be an email from you, the listener. You can email us at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter @joystickspod. Follow us there if you want updates on the show. And finally, it can be a comment on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/@betweenthejoysticks if you want to comment on any of our videos. Any of those things, we can bring it and talk about it. And we got 4 things for you today. Let's kick things off, John, with that Concord Beta.
Hell yeah.
It's kind of the hottest of topics. Ran all weekend, and they even added a day. And then they also added it to everyone that's on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
I think we briefly talked about it, that we think the numbers were soft.
Yeah.
That they were... the amount of pre-orders, even though a pre-order would give you multiple beta keys, which we got, that there weren't going to be a lot of people playing it, and this is kind of, you need word of mouth on this game, especially with the $40 price tag. People are, not people are just going to take a chance on $40 like other games in this genre, which are free to play. That I think they wanted to get some buzz around the game. Which is also weird because next weekend it's open for everybody on PC and PlayStation, regardless of if you're a PlayStation Plus member. So I don't know. I just think they wanted to get ahead of it and get that positive buzz that's kind of been building over the weekend. A lot of outlets had very positive things about it. A lot of people on social media, but as I mentioned last week, what about John and I? What do we think of the game?
Sure.
And before we even talk about the game itself, because I did feel kind of bad, because more than ever these games are not for me anymore.
Yeah.
To the point of like, man, do I even want to talk about it? Because it just didn't do it for me, and I don't think it's anything to do with the game itself. It's just that type of game and that type of experience, and we'll get into that. The experience we had is just, it's passed me by.
Yeah, but you still do have value in terms of just evaluating a game, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to that, we have some stuff to say, but I think listeners of the show for a while know that we're not sweaty, shooty, try hard guys typically.
Not anymore. I was.
Yeah, Nick used to be that way. So. And I've kind of come to terms with, I think if a game has shooting mechanics and it's PvP, I'm almost inherently don't want to be involved with it. But again, I have thoughts of the game itself. So if this is something you're going to look forward to or interested in, like, we have things to say about it. It's just not going to be overwhelmingly like, I don't like this game. Not for me.
Yeah, they're just these type of games are very swingy, and I think when we rolled we were rolling a 4-man crew. I think just like Overwatch is you start queuing into other 4-man crews, other 5-man crews, and when we were just getting steamrolled match after match.
It's because you're saying because it was like a collective group of guys that work with each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what was happening to us.
I see what you're saying. So if you go in by yourself, you're playing 5 guys
who don't work together and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. I get that.
So that just feels bad in any of these games. If I was playing Warzone or Apex, any of these free-to-play shooters, it feels bad to get steamrolled.
Well, and that's maybe a good place to start is, so, I felt... Well, so first off, this game is made by who? Firewalk, right?
Yep, Firewalk Studios, again, coming August 23rd for $40.
Yep, for $40. Sony first party. So... made by veterans that have worked on the Halo series, the Call of Duty series, Destiny, things like that. So you know that you're going to get a high-value product from industry veterans that are probably going to be able to put together a package that's going to feel good to play at least. So that was what I was kind of coming in to look at, is like, how does it feel to play? And I'm happy to report I think it feels very, very good. I think that the shooting mechanics are on point. I don't have a ton of experience in this. Again, like Nick, maybe you can speak a little bit more about this because you were big into Overwatch, but I had absolutely no issues with the servers, the lagginess, glitchiness, bugginess. All that was very, very well done, which I got to give them credit for. I think that's hard to do in the best of times, let alone like a beta period. So did a good job there. Gameplay moment to moment felt good. The characters had a little bit of a variety with each of them, but what I wanted to get to, at least the whole reason I took over the conversation here, was to say I was kind of shocked that they didn't give us more information on how to play this game and what to do.
There's no tutorial.
Yeah, there's no. You jump into this game and you are just go. Right?
Yeah.
There's 16 different characters with 16 unique abilities. You don't know what the shoulder buttons do. You don't know what the blue sphere on the map means, or if there's a red sphere. Are those just associated with the teams? Does one mean that you can shoot through it? Well, like, there was too many question marks associated with it off the rip that, it was a hard, immediate hurdle to overcome. And I thought that was a little strange decision for me, that they couldn't put something in there that takes 5 minutes to be like, hey, everybody's equipped with 2 special moves. They operate on cooldowns. They're going to come back here and here. I don't know. I just felt like they dropped the ball a little bit.
There was a lot of discovery. Yeah, you could go into the menu and you could hit triangle. You could learn what their abilities were from there, but it's just a description.
Very texty too. It was like it was a lot of words.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like I'm illiterate or anything, but like, you don't want. That's not the way to present information.
Right, and you were given. There were 4 modes in total, 4 maps in total, all 16 free gunners, which are the characters in the game. And right off the bat, the only modes you can play is just straight deathmatch or trophy hunt, in which when you kill someone, you have to go over their body and grab a trophy off their body. Or, if your teammate dies, you can deny a trophy by grabbing.
It's like dog tags in Call of Duty.
Yeah. So that is definitely a very curious choice. And I know like these genre of games are like they're out there. Most people probably picked it up very quickly, and it didn't take long. But like you're saying, it's just like, whoa.
But like, and I came into the next day at work, and you who probably took a little more time to look into the systems were like, oh yeah, this certain character, if you hit O twice and do the evade, they heal. It's like, well, that would be good to know. Like, I don't know. I just to launch and I'm new to the beta scene, really. I don't engage in betas. I would just think like mission statement number 1 would maybe be make sure that people are like comfortable.
Right.
But maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, he's referring to because we've seen in the trailers, like, you can do these super dodges that kind of pull out to a third-person camera and then pull back in. And I'm like, well, how do you do that? Because O itself is crouch. And then I was like, oh, double O. Like, you double tap O, and then some characters will do, like, backflips and other weird things. The bigger characters, they're chonky, so they'll move a little bit. But, that's double O, and that's on a cooldown, too. So you can't keep spamming those, too. But just even some characters, like, just jumping is different. Like, one of the main characters, I forget her name, second from the left.
Vale.
Yeah, she can...
Maybe. No, not Vale. The one with the crossbow?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
She can... she can float. Like, you hold X on your second jump. It's Haymar. She can float and hover, like, basically fly.
But
yeah, how are you supposed to know that? Until you see the opponent doing it, then you're like, oh, that's useful. And the Destiny comparison is definitely here, especially when I was doing that move. These pull out the third-person cameras. Bungie is again another first-party studio. They're ex-Bungie devs working on this game. You see a lot of the PvP content from Destiny here as well. And just piggyback off what you said, everything here was good. Like, the matchmaking was solid, presentation was solid, music was solid, everything. The guns felt good.
Beautiful character models, lots of attention to detail. Really had that Sony high quality polish that you come to expect with their games.
Yeah, I don't know if you went into like customization at all, but you can start unlocking like little trinkets and kind of putting your flair on your character. Mm-hmm. There was only a little bit that you could unlock here, and nothing you do here carries over, so there's no FOMO on that. But
I do almost feel like they might have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to the art direction, specifically with cosmetics, because it does seem like their art style is very intentional, and it's going to be hard to rope in like outside influence things into this world. You know what I'm saying? Like if they can strike a deal with,
just other
WB
Sony
or
first party
or
games.
somebody, you can do that, but I don't know. Like the art style specifically, I feel like it might be hard to work with. I don't know.
Yeah, the characters are very busy as far as
so
like their look and their feel, and there's their Star Child is like this huge hulking character. There's a huge character with a full suit of armor with a Gatling gun that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, they're cool.
But yeah, everything. Like I said, if this was my type of game, I'd at least be interested in, because it, like right off the bat, everything is there. What did you think about the vignettes? And I know I'm asking the loaded question to the person that does not care for them. Did you watch them both?
Good.
They're both on YouTube if you want to look them up.
No, I watched the opening scene for the game.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Oh, okay, and then I watched another one, I think.
Yeah, those are both of them. So.
Yeah, the opening scene was rough. That was not. Anytime you're introduced to a cast of characters who have seemingly known each other for a long time,
and you have no idea,
jumping right into the middle of it, it's very hard to attach to anybody, right? So they have to work themselves up to that. So maybe we'll give them a pass on that. But it is one of the biggest question marks with this game. Is like they've kind of haven't really differentiated themselves in any meaningful way gameplay wise. It's Overwatch and Destiny and Valorant. That's what it is. But they seemingly want to do this narrative where there's this actual narrative thing going through with these characters you're supposed to like and care about. I will be shocked if they can get that to work. and you know, I am not easy to please in this realm, but like I almost feel like it was a mistake to go for that, and they should have just worried about just make it as good feeling with as much content that players want as possible.
Right, and not that there really needs to be a story to be shooting each other, but we don't even know that. We don't even know what is the story of the game, because that opening vignette is like them waiting to get this free gunner status.
Yeah, we're finally in the free gunners.
Yeah, and then what does that mean?
Yeah, you're reminding me of how much I dislike that vignette. Like with that dumb computer and no, we're here, we're in. Oh, okay, we're in. Yeah. So it's again, if these are weekly, I mean that's a tall order, and that's going to be a lot of these videos. If like the game starts to drag, if people start to go, hey, the content's dragging a little bit, we need more, but like they're still doing vignettes, they're just going to almost make people mad, unless if people are super into it, but like. But
something needs to happen.
For sure, but like if you're in not a free-to-play game, this is a $40 game, but a free-to-play-esque design-looking game where you're meant to spend a lot of time with it, you're supposed to come back to it daily, weekly, whatever the case, and you're spending 98% of your time doing that, and then they're wanting you to, hey, no, there's like this, because have they said how long these are going to be? I'm guessing 3 to 5 minutes if I were to guess.
They're not very long.
So but you're supposed to pop in here for this minuscule percentage of a time that you're actually engaged with this game to be like, I'm ready. It's like, no, you're not. You just want to see what the next gun's going to be, the next character, the next ability. So, I applaud them. It's a smart. It's a.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. If Overwatch had this, I would have been into them, because I like the characters a lot, and the brief story we would get when they would do a CG trailer about a certain character, I was interested in, but.
If they can do that's a good point, Nick. And again, maybe speaking to my lack of Overwatchness in the past and not liking kind of like, I'm sorry, I can never think of a different way to say it than like the MCU group of people getting together. Like that's not my thing.
Well, I think like we've talked about this with television shows. It's like it's just so hard to get into the first season of a show because you don't know anybody. You're forgetting names. Mm-hmm. There's so much other content in your life that you're just like, how am I supposed to be absorbing all this? And now I got to remember 16 different character names in a free-to-play shooter who have a very flimsy reason they're all fighting each other, but they look cool. And I kind of want to know more, but it's a lot to take in. And just this one weekend we get with the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's you make an interesting point, though, that you would be into it. I don't know. I mean, it's got a lot of hurdles, right? I think that this beta weekend, I would say it was a success. I think that the press is higher on it than they were previously, which is doing a good amount to negate the immediate people who saw the revealed launch trailer and was like, oh, this game's gonna suck. That was a immediate barrier that they had to get over, and I think this proved to work that a little bit. But is this game going to be relevant a year after launch? That's like the question I have.
I have a feeling it will be, but again, we've talked about this on the show before. Like measuring a game's success, it's going to be very hard for us to know. I'm sure people are going to look at Steam concurrence, and that's only going to tell one half of the picture because you're not seeing the PlayStation side, which was another narrative this weekend. Was how many people were playing on Steam?
Yeah, it was only like
but it's a closed beta.
Yeah,
It wasn't going to be a lot. And we'll see this upcoming weekend will be a much more better tale of at least the Steam side. But how will we know? But I think the game, just like we said, it's doing everything right. I think there will be people there playing it for a while, as long as that content keeps coming, and that's going to be difficult. But if you can get, like we mentioned last week, characters coming, more vignettes, make sure your whatever their battle pass content is good. People will show up.
Yeah, I mean, if they can,
for at least a year,
if they can have this kind of, if they can make their vignettes like kind of start to get intertwined with the gameplay, that'd be pretty cool, right? Like something happens in the vignette,
creates a new mode.
It creates a new mode. It creates a new map. It that could be a smart way to keep the engagement bouncing back and forth, and like, oh, okay, well, I want to tune into the vignette to see what's gonna happen in the game. That's just a crazy cadence, right? Like, with video game development taking as long as it does now, Sony does have a couple support studios purchased, right? Valkyrie is one of them. You can kind of throw a lot of bodies at it if you need to, but I'm curious to see if this works out for them, if Sony regrets buying this team, because remember, this is the game they saw and then they decided to buy them.
No, the game's too, like I said, the game's too good. They're a talented studio.
Yeah,
that
is true,
without a doubt. So, just be ready to be sick of this game, because it'll show up at every state of play now, like for content updates and stuff like that. That and Helldivers for sure.
I don't know whenever Fair Games drops.
Well, who knows when that is, but
no, for sure. But
also, you talked about the toxicity of the game and how they're going to address it. I don't know if you saw it all. I don't think you played by yourself at all, did you? When you join a group, you are not in voice chat. So if you hold the touchpad, you'll join voice chat with everybody. Okay. So it's like you're automatically opted out of voice chat. And then if you wanted to go into it, you can, but you will never hear another person talk unless you, like I said, at the beginning of a match, hold down the touchpad.
Smart.
So
smart. Little things like that matter, man. If it didn't have that and you go into the game and you're just getting bullied, or you're just like, why did you pick that fucking character? You suck with it. And it's like, dude, I'm out immediately.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that a little bit over the weekend. Like, people obviously found there were definitely better characters to be. I think the ninja lady is according to the internet up there.
The old lady with the machine gun?
No, the she's got a fro and she's got kunai that she throws.
Yeah.
She was, I think it's Baz. Her name.
She can backstab people.
Yeah, is up there, and and even when we were playing, we had a friend who picked a character, and we were just rocking when he was that character.
Yeah, he's probably also just the best gamer out of all this business. So, yeah, but you're right.
Yeah, he's significantly younger than us, so he's got
those reflexes are sharp still.
Yeah, Jabali. He was Jabali. But that's all I got. If you're good, we can move on to the listener email about the game.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So, we had a listener write in with their impressions. Again, you can write in at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. This comes from pal of the show, Jesse. Hey, guys, I've played about 2 hours of Concord, and I'm at level 8. Here's some thoughts on it. For context, I played a couple of hours of Fortnite and Warzone, but haven't played Apex or Overwatch. So live service hero shooters are brand new to me. I went into this hoping to get something fun out of it, and I did for the first few games, but also could be completely wrong, and this game could be fun as hell. It's just not for me. He sounds like he's in our camp.
Yep. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Thoughts while playing. I feel like nothing is explained to me, but all the information is in the how to play if you look for it. The ship flying into the arena opening cutscene got old very quick. I also agree, even though I thought it was impressive at first.
Yeah.
Characters repeat the same line every time you select them. I didn't notice that. Running around and getting around the map feels slow and sluggish as most characters I tried.
I do understand that.
I heard a lot of
A
people
sprint
speed.
button would be nice.
Did you ever play? There's like the demon-looking character that can teleport.
I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe I'll play this weekend and try her out. She's a lot like Tracer.
Okay.
Because she can teleport or pull herself back. I saw a lot of people playing her, but I didn't check her out. I should have. Most guns, including sniper rifle, take too many shots to kill. I feel like I'm pumping bullets into the enemies. The sniper character having only one bullet in the clip was very frustrating. Reloading takes 10 years. Half the characters don't look interesting to me, so I'll never pick them. Some characters have 2 clips of ammo, and that's it. Favorite character was Baz because she was quick and her knives felt good to shoot. The same game modes got very stale. I agree with John that they need more than just 5v5. Make some wacky game modes. Yeah, we didn't talk about the other 2 game modes. We briefly played the one where you pick up the bomb in the middle. And
that was horrible.
The competitive modes where...
But we were playing against like fucking all-stars. So
right.
Yeah,
where you die and you're out, and then if you win a round, you lose access to that character. We got steamrolled on that, so we didn't have fun doing that. Navigating menus feels sluggish, and admittedly, I suck. I get maybe 1 kill per life, but I feel like I'm always charging into my death, even when I hold back and take my time. It's definitely a team shooter. You always want to be with other people, unless you're one of the, like I said, that Baz character. But you still want to be sneaking up on people that are engaging your other teammates. And
it was fun a couple times trying to flank people. Like that was kind of fun every once in a while. But I every time I did it, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like I should be with my team. What am I doing? And then you might get one and then just get stuck.
We had a good couple of runs when we first started playing. We were consistently winning.
Yeah.
And then we got a 4-person group, and then it seemed like we were just queuing with other teams. But
and there was one match where it was 4v5, and we're like, well, this is great.
Yeah. We got rocked on that one too. But overall, the only thing holding me to this game is the satisfaction of leveling up, and the Sony brand. Other than that, I would have quit after the first few matches. I feel like if they're going to be charging the amount they are, then the game should have a campaign at least. I don't think the vignettes are enough to entice people to buy this. The characters aren't interesting to me, and the gameplay was boring and didn't get its hooks into me. If it was free to play, then maybe I'd give it some more time, but I'm not going to pay $70 New Zealand for this game. And I'm guessing lots of other people wouldn't either. I think this game will die within a year or have a very small player base. There's no way it can compete with any free-to-play games and take their players. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Don't have a lot I disagree with.
No.
I mean,
it will go free to play. This game will be free to play at some point. It'll be a PlayStation Plus extra game first.
Can I see that email? I just turned your computer real quick. There was something he said that I wanted to. The campaign. It's like I understand that sentiment that if it should have a campaign in it. But it's like Helldivers didn't have a campaign, right? And that was a runaway success. So they're probably just looking at that, like if they're gonna make a game that's got that $40 price point, that's primary directive is to drive engagement and time played as opposed to anything. Then they probably just view campaign as a sunken cost. Like it's just a
I just don't see them doing it. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. Like I would rather Concord have been a 8-hour campaign with the multiplayer that's most of the game, and I can pay $70 for it. I would personally rather have that, but maybe that is an era that we live in too, where Sony is going into this not really having a past with it. So maybe they come in and they start, hey, there is going to be a DLC of a campaign. That's what we do. We're known for narratives. We can supplement the vignettes we're doing. That's possible. I could see
it's possible, but I just don't see it happening. That's all. If Overwatch couldn't do it with years and years of development, and then promising one with Overwatch 2, I just don't think that it's worth the investment. Unless this game would have to be like Overwatch. It'd have to be that level of success for them. I start considering it, because then you're looking at years down the line, and then going, how do we keep this player base interested in a 3 to 4 year old game? I just don't think that they'll.
Yeah, it's this weird catch-22 that like because it's live service, you don't want to add anything into it that's not live service because that's a waste. But by not doing that, it keeps people like you and I disengaged. But like that's not the point. It's
right. But
I hate this
but you
timeline,
made a
Nick.
great point
I hate
about
this
like
timeline.
vignettes tying into new game modes, new things happening, and I think taking again a cue from Helldivers, the constant campaigns and the for democracy, the things that kind of again emergent storytelling that they've latched onto. If they can apply that to Concord and the vignettes and tie that into game modes, you might care more, you know? And if those game modes are fun to play, like if they're wacky or silly, like, I don't know, maybe someone on the ship gets a cold and it starts spreading throughout the ship.
Yeah.
And so now there's a game mode that's like, well, a person starts with a cold and then the last person not to get the cold, and by getting cold, getting shot. You know, there's a lot of interesting ways they
Figure
could
out
take
a way
it.
to rope in an Among Us variant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
where it's just like who killed who. You could do something like that. But
Oh, for sure.
they need they need that. What's that guy for Helldiver? Joel for Helldivers 2. The
Yeah.
guy that was like, they need one of those guys, to get the community all riled up when he makes adjustments. But
Right.
there is a path. I think the overall takeaway from this weekend, there is a definite path to success. The game is of high quality. It's just not for Nick and I, and that's not a fault of the game at all. It's just,
No.
that's just us. So
No, I think they did everything right that I feel bad that it's not hitting for me.
yeah,
But like
we're
I
old
said,
men, dude.
we'll see. If it does go free to play or, something happens in the game and I'm just like, oh, maybe I'll come back. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to live and die by word of mouth and just how well they support it. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So
right.
let's move on.
All right, so on to game 2. So everybody buckle up. As Nick mentioned at the front of the show, we got a ton of Xbox news, which seems to be kind of par for the course on this show. It seems like we talk about Xbox more than anybody, but
They've had a roller coaster of a year.
Well, and they're the ones that like to talk the most, so it only makes sense. But I took a lot of what we're gonna say here from our friends over at The Verge. But this is going to be very kind of just news heavy at first because there's some specifics that we need to make sure that are out there for everybody.
Well, which one do you want? Because I know there's 3 different items. Which one are we tackling first?
I'm tackling the Game Pass.
Okay, that's the big one.
Right, that's the big one. So a new tier is entering the Xbox Game Pass ecosystem titled the Standard Subscription. Microsoft is planning to hike its Xbox Game Pass Ultimate pricing again in September, alongside launching a new standard subscription that does not include day one access to first-party Xbox games. The Xbox maker has stated that in an email that Ultimate subscribers will get a price increase to $19.99 a month starting on September 12th, which is a 3% increase over the current $16.99. New members will need to pay these new prices basically immediately. PC Game Pass subscribers will also see a price hike in September with the service moving from $9.99 to $11.99 and maintaining access to those day one titles. The price increase comes just before Microsoft plans to add Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and other big first-party Xbox games to its Game Pass service later this year, but Call of Duty being probably the main reason for the price increase. Alongside the Ultimate and PC Game Pass price hikes, Microsoft will also offer a new option of an Xbox Game Pass standard subscription without day one Game Pass titles, as mentioned before, priced at $14.99 for new users of the service. The existing Xbox Game Pass for console subscription will continue for existing subscribers, but new Game Pass subscribers won't be able to select the console option starting July 10th until the new Game Pass standard subscription. I'm confusing myself just even reading. Like, they need to work on their naming, but that's kind of like the overall big changes. Too long did not read. Prices are going up onto the Ultimate tier. They're creating a new one, removing day one access.
Basically, if I get a Series X right now, I can pay $15 a month, and I don't get day one games. I don't know what happens when Indiana Jones comes out. When do I get access to it?
Yep.
That's a question they're going to have to ask. Is this a 3, a 6, a year exclusivity, or I can pay the $20 a month and then I get access to the day one games?
Yep. Yeah.
So
it's all. I mean, this was an inevitability. Anybody who's kind of in tune with the industry knew that this was coming. We all knew that. Microsoft paid $69 billion for Activision, and they have to absorb all the costs to make those games. They have to try and turn a profit on that acquisition. They got the Eye of Sauron, Satya Nadella, looking at them saying, what's the plan here? And So it was a matter of time before it happens, and I would say this is just one of many to come. I would expect that to keep going up.
And making the newest Call of Duty day one Game Pass game. There's a tax to that too, because that's one of the gaming's biggest franchises year over year. It's a ton of money.
To effectively just say we're not going to worry about selling it a la carte on our platform is, it's a statement. Microsoft's the only company that could do that, but I don't know, man. What do you think that this is going to reduce the amount of subscribers? Do you think it's not going to really affect anything? What's kind of your takeaway on
It's hard to say because you get the internet drama, and the internet drama is embellished. People selling their Xboxes, and stuff like that. And, of course, the coping that comes with a shitty moment, but like you said, we knew this was coming. I don't know. I think people will probably stick around, I would think. As long as the games come, it should be fine. But if the day one games aren't coming and the day one games that are reviewing very well don't come, then people will of course leave. But come November when Call of Duty's on this thing, I think they'll probably see a boost in membership. So, but not many games could do that. No, but I mean, I agree. I think that Xbox or Microsoft get this one price hike, and this isn't the first price hike. This is the second one, but I think this is the one that they can get away with, and when they do it again, that's when you're going to start to see people kind of go, okay, these games better be here or I'm out. Because like gaming, it's a boutique hobby, right? Like you really should not be spending money on video games if you're struggling in your life, right? If you're having trouble getting groceries, paying your bills, you probably shouldn't be gaming all that much. So like on one hand, $3 increase, that should not break your bank. If it does, you probably got some bigger things you got to worry about than your beloved Xbox Game Pass going up. But like, there does come to this point where we live in a subscription era and everybody has their own lines in the sand. Mine personally is I will pay for Netflix, Max, Hulu, and Disney. Just a couple.
Well, I guess I take that back. I bum Will's Hulu. I have a Max through my cell phone bill. Right. So I really pay for Disney and Netflix. But I'm not paying for Peacock. I'm not paying for Paramount. I just won't do it. And so, people are going to have to continuously make those decisions. But I think that does lead into something else too. And I don't know if this was one of the three that you were thinking about talking here, but there's reports, not reports, it's been shown that Xbox is trying to position Game Pass onto the Fire Stick.
That's one of my things.
That's one of them? Okay. So, Xbox has effectively said that they are going to, onto the Amazon Fire Stick, allow you to access Game Pass through that. So effectively, all you would need is a Xbox Series controller and a Fire Stick to be able to access Game Pass, right? And
they're selling it on Prime Day right now.
Yep.
$79, the stick, the controller, and a month of Game Pass.
So we are there. I think we are at that. We are at the era of Xbox. Is any decision and plan making that they're doing, I think, is laying the ground for a console-less future. We'll get into phase 3
here. A big part of them buying Activision was the whole xCloud stuff. That was a big conversation.
And it makes sense. If your consoles are selling so poorly, which I'll get into in a second, like why would you not pursue that path? So, it's beginning now. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that, Nick? Like when it comes to, is Xbox now officially starting this big push towards this? Are we going to even get another console generation? Or where do you think we're at with their kind of thought process of, do you agree that they are shifting away from console?
Yeah. Cloud is the future. Just like AI is the future, cloud gaming will be a thing. They're going to have to bet on internet infrastructure that can do cloud gaming when everyone wants to connect to your servers to play video games. But I think they got another console in them for sure. Yeah. Console gaming is dead, as a tale as old as time. But I think they got one console left in them.
Yeah, I think so Also, I mean, when you start R&Ding a console, you do it really far in advance.
Right.
So like they've been tinkering with one, but that does kind of lead into the other piece of Xbox news here, which is we've gotten some data from Circana, Matt Piscatella specifically, who gives us all of our monthly, data when it comes to what games have sold the most, what games haven't, yada, yada, yada. But he tweeted out last week that on a time-aligned basis, U.S. unit sales of PS5 hardware are trending 8% ahead of PS4, while Xbox Series is trailing Xbox One by 13% and remains slightly behind Xbox 360. Oof.
That's dark.
That's not a pretty picture, right? Like, so I pulled some numbers to try and make this even a little bit more apparent, which I think will paint a picture for the reason that Xbox obviously is seceding the space of the big boy console, or at least not actively pursuing it. We have about 59.3 million PS5s in the wild. That's kind of the most up-to-date number for that.
Okay.
30.73 total series sales, so about half, which is bad, but when you kind of look at the previous generation or last generation, the Xbox One probably sold about half the PS4, somewhere around there. But where it gets really dire and where I think it's like, oh man, like that's not a great picture, is that 75% of all series sales have been Series S, which means 7.6 million Series X's have been sold approximately compared to 60 million PS5s. And when you put the numbers like that, it does kind of go, oh shit. Okay, so if people are buying Series S's, they're probably just wanting to access Game Pass, right? They're probably not looking to say, I want to play the best, I want the best experience,
wild to me.
I want the highest version, blah, blah, blah. I just want to access this catalog. And so why would you not pursue that direction, right? And if you have vibrant PC, ecosystem, there's rumors of a handheld, which I think would be smart based on this data. It just, you can see the path being made, right? With everything factored into it. I just think we're just continuously going down that path of Xbox trying to position themselves as the world's largest publisher. Sure, they might have hardware there if you want it, but it's not our main thing. We don't really care about it. And just give us that yummy, yummy subscription money.
Yeah, it's a bummer because competition is great, but it's like Xbox just never had its like chance. Like it's never, like I said, no game of the year game, no game to go, this is it. Halo Infinite is a 95. It's one of the greatest games of all time, or Starfield is one of the greatest games of all time. See what that does. And I'm sure those games did bump it up, but it's just, God, they had such a good showcase this year that you think they're so close.
Yeah, they might be. I mean,
so close.
I mean, that could be the thing is, they finally figured out their cadence. They got every quarter a big banger, and they go, hey, Game Pass is $25 now. And people go, yeah, that's cool because, like, okay, we got Fable this quarter, and then the next quarter we got Indiana Jones, and the next quarter we got this, we got this,
right.
we got this. And then it makes sense.
And next year is going to be insane. Grand Theft Auto 6, Fable, House of Midnight. Are there any other games? I have this feeling Indiana Jones will be next year.
Yeah, maybe.
But that game will be out, and it's like
Perfect Dark.
Yeah, that didn't have a year at all.
No, I know, but like if they can line it up,
right. That they're just so close, and the Activision games, next year's Call of Duty, and if any other games come out of their camp, they have a deal with Toys for Bob. I don't know what they're working on, but they're just like this close, and then just to be. We've already had this conversation, but.
Yeah. But it's so interesting though, because yes, they're close, but there's also no guarantee that any of the games they've shown are good. Like,
it's true. That's true.
And that's maybe it's not a conversation for today, but just where is that? There's a stinky person somewhere in this room, and we don't know who they are. Where it's like it seems like somebody every time Xbox puts all their forces behind something, it's just something goes wrong. Whether it's game design, whether it's the length of development time, whether it's leadership change, it just seems like there's always something. And so I hope so, man. I agree. The Xbox 360 generation was crazy. Like, I didn't even own one, but like I was jealous of all the Mass Effect games being over there. BioShock was initially over there.
Fable,
they had so much, and so you hope they can figure it out, but
I don't want to leave this topic just yet because I want to bring it back to the Game Pass thing because I did want to point something out because, this is a drum you've been beating for a while about that Game Pass doesn't work. Yeah. And you're not the only one by any means.
No, I'm the only one.
Which is why the Game Pass for console tier is going away to the standard tier that doesn't get day one games but is more expensive.
Which also. No, sorry, go ahead.
Because I wanted to bring up some sales data of video games. We saw that since Sea of Thieves is released on PlayStation 5, it was number one the month it released, and it's been in the top 5 on PS5 month over month in North America and Europe. That's gangbusters, right? Mm-hmm. But then May comes, and what was the best-selling game of May? Now, you might think, well, Microsoft had Hellblade 2. That's got to done pretty well, right? Hellblade 2 was number 37.
Oh, no.
In that list. On Xbox, it was higher, but overall, between Xbox and Steam, 37. The number one game in May was a 4-year-old Sony exclusive, Ghost of Tsushima, the best-selling game in May. And I will tell you, if Microsoft doesn't see that and go, look at all the day one money we're losing because we're using a subscription service, and look at all the money Sony's making selling their games a la carte between Ghost of Tsushima, God of War Ragnarok earlier this year, Helldivers 2 earlier this year. They are making money hand over fist, and we have to get our audience back into buying games, and that's why this tier is more expensive, and it doesn't include day one games anymore. Because Game Pass is falling apart a little bit.
It might be the best point you've ever brought up on the show. I'll make sure you get your paycheck this week.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Microsoft has always been Xbox, PC, right? Microsoft is more associated with a computer than it is a video game console. But it does also suck for them that they can't even double dip into the PC space like PlayStation is, right? It's like we're not getting the sales from these massive first parties, but also they're double dipping over there. Those bastards, it's crazy, dude. Like when you asked me that the other day, like, oh, what do you think May was? I was like, I don't know. It's like fucking Helldivers 2 popped back up or something. Right. Like I would never have thought Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, it was in there for sure.
It was, but no, not number one. So yeah, it's yeah. I wish I could ask all these people, like, hey, in complete confidence, if you could do a crystal ball or if you could get into a time machine, would you go back and do things differently? And be like, what would you do differently? And just be interesting to see their answers to something like that.
Who are we asking?
Phil Spencer. Really just everybody into the industry. Like, I'd even just be anybody who's a high exec at these companies, just be like, what would you have done differently over the past 10 years versus where your company's at now? I guarantee Xbox would give you some pretty crazy
run definitely studio management. Game Pass would work with games. Xbox would be in a much better position with games. I know Phil Spencer famously said last year, was that last year? Redfall was last year?
Yeah.
God, time flies. That, if we just make great games, people will not come, and I'm telling you, you're full of shit. You make games, people come. Your Xbox, PlayStation, games are their primary function. And when you release great games at a consistent cadence, I know that people don't like that Sony's paying for these second-party exclusives, but when you can go back and be like, yeah, we didn't release any first-party games, but we had Helldivers 2 and Stellar Blade and Rise of Ronin, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Some of the best games of this year were only playable on PlayStation. That matters. That brings people, and that's why we're here.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just found an interesting chart. Look at that. It's a chart of showing the total Game Pass subscribers going, I think, up until... Sorry, I'm holding the computer sideways. 2022, and it's just from starting in 2017 in July, it's just climb, and then...
Yeah, stagnant.
Yeah, and then stagnant, and it's just it hit its goal for where it wanted to be, missed barely for its 2021 target goal, and then missed substantially. And if it just stays there, I know they were hoping to be, I think, around I was trying to look for a chart I remember seeing that it was like by 2025 we expect to be at like 80 million subscribers or something. And it's just like, it's if you're stagnant like that, I don't know what you do.
Like I said, Call of Duty is definitely going to have an impact. If they can get games out next year, Fable, that will definitely have an impact. And most people will play Grand Theft Auto 6 on PlayStation, but the other platform that it's only playable on is Xbox Series X. It won't be available on PC. So that should just bring both of them up. It'll probably bring Sony up more, but you'd think you'd see a lot of growth.
And we have one guy at work he's going to be an Xbox buyer of the game, right? So you'll get those guys to show up.
Yeah, so I don't want to paint a picture of all doom and gloom, but they got to start getting games out, and they got to hit a lot harder. Like I'm sure they wanted. Hellblade is a passion project. No one probably would have said, "Oh, that's going to really drive sales," but it to barely make a dent.
37 is rough for an opening month, man.
Yeah,
I mean, they need to. I agree. They need to release the games, but I would say just as urgently they have to be maybe not Sony quality, because that's a bar that is it's just a silly bar to try and strive for, but like you can't like Hellblade, nobody talks about that. I hated it. Most people I heard talk about it did not think it was great. So you got to do better than that, man. You just have to.
Yeah. They need a big game, and like a really big game, and maybe Avowed or Indiana Jones can be those
was
games.
Supposed to be that.
Right.
When and that didn't, and
right. They just need game of the year time. They gotta be one of those games, and so far this year it's not looking like they will be.
All right.
So.
Just complete prediction time. I'm not gonna hold you to it. What's the one Xbox game that's announced right now that has the best chance of being a Game of the Year nominated game?
So big epic story.
Perfect Dark, Fable. South of Midnight.
No, I mean South of Midnight could, but I mean, again, next year is going to be stacked. I think South of Midnight came out this year. It could probably compete, but
that's why. Yeah, just like what is there? What's
a Fable for sure.
Probably?
I mean,
Fable's
Playground Games is no joke. Like I think you've mentioned one of their best studios.
Yeah, it's just like what's the next game that we kind of. Because the industry was holding Starfield almost as this savior-like game, right? And it came out as really good, but it didn't really do that. What's the next one that we go, okay, if this doesn't hit, then what are we doing? So it's probably Fable, right?
Yeah, Fable
and Perfect Dark. Those are probably the two I'm thinking.
And Gears of War E-Day.
Oh, sure. Doom Eternal, I guess, or Doom Dark Ages, I guess is technically that, but it's going to be everywhere. So
right.
I don't know how that factors in.
It's a day one Game Pass game, so it would be great and it will hit. I mean, that'll probably be one of the top games of next year. But from I don't know.
It's just like when you think of the other side, it's like Ghost of Tsushima 2, probably Game of the Year contender. Last of Us 3 comes out, it's probably gonna be Game of the Year contender. Right. Uncharted 5, it's probably gonna be Game of the Year contender. Astrobot, it's probably gonna be Game of the Year contender. So I don't know. That's all I got. You got anything?
No. Again, it's been such a roller coaster with them this year. They had that developer direct, and you're like, oh, Indiana Jones and Avowed are coming this year. Great. And then they close Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin, and you're like, God damn it, Xbox. And then they have one of the best E3 showcases of all time, and you're like, fuck yeah, this brand is back. Call of Duty Day 1, Doom, South of Midnight, Fable, everything's just looking great. Oh my God. And then we get this. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I hope they have a good fall. I hope they can get some games out this fall, and I want Obsidian to Avowed to be good. I want Machine Games, Indiana Jones to be good.
2025's got to be Xbox's year. It has to be.
They'll probably have the Horizon or the Spider-Man, those are great games that release all the time around some of the best games that have ever come out, and then they just get forgotten about. And like Spider-Man 2 with Baldur's Gate, and then Horizon has to release around a Zelda game every fucking time, or Elden Ring last.
Yeah, it was Zelda for the first Zelda and then Elden Ring. Whoops.
But so I think again, next year is going to be a huge year of games. So. it's not high 80s. I don't think will count. It'll
Right.
be 90s and above to get noticed. You know, when you got a Grand Theft Auto 6 nuclear bomb coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Thanks, Xbox. You provide us so much content.
You do. Yeah, you do. All right.
All right.
Let's kill this thing.
All right. Let's move on to Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth.
All right, I forgot about that one. All right, now we're going to the next one.
Possible Game of the Year candidate. Again, came out this January. I started playing it, and then game after game after game came out, so I had to sideline it. But I'm back in it. I'm in the final chapter. I'm like probably like an hour from seeing the ending, but I think it's a good time to review it. And again, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth is a direct sequel to Yakuza Like a Dragon. The Yakuza franchise is the Like a Dragon franchise. And I will say that this game feels like it's sunsetting, even though I don't know what happens at the very end, but sunsetting the Kiryu arc, letting that character kind of move on, so whatever the future of this franchise is will be new faces.
Yeah.
Is about halfway through this game. You know, the game primarily takes place in Hawaii, but halfway through the game you go to Kamurocho in Japan, and then you're running two parties. One in Hawaii, one in Japan, and the Kiryu one is touching on a bunch of stuff I just don't know about. Like old characters are coming back and just being like, oh, what happened to that kid I saved? All that in Yakuza 4 probably, or the two guys I taught to be in the Yakuza in Yakuza 2. I don't know where they're from.
He's
but
addicted to meth.
Yeah. So it's kind of like touching on all these sides, all these previous stories, and kind of putting a bow on them. So I'm predicting that this is how the ending is gonna go. That whatever happens, Kiryu will just be like, I'm done, you know, and then they'll go on.
Rise off to Epstein's Island.
The main villain of this game is a guy who has an island that they're storing nuclear waste on. Is the big overall plot.
I mean, it seems like the kind of place you'd want to store nuclear waste on, right?
Sure.
Like, you don't want to store it in New York City.
True. And yeah, it's kind of the big, like, again, these games are so silly and goofy at times. You know, I just had to fight a boss where sharks were coming and eating people while we were fighting, like gigantic sharks. But then they're also like, this is a story about Japan trying to get rid of its nuclear waste to Hawaii. And you're like, huh. Is this a deep game or is this?
Oh my god, it's always been that series, man.
Going to like when John's face when I said you're running two different teams. This game is the big issue I take with Rebirth is, man, these video games are too big, and I know they always want to outdo themselves in the previous game, but yeah, running two different squads of 5 people each. And then you have 3 zones in this. So you have the zone from the last game, the zone from, what was that half step that came out last year?
The man who erased his name.
The man who erased his name. That zone is in this. And then Hawaii itself. So you have 3 different areas full of mini games, stuff to do, side quest, and it's just, and that's not even getting into the Pokemon Sujimon battles, and then the island that's just basically Animal Crossing that you manage too.
It seems like a 3D, more intense version of like Dave the Diver. You know, where you're just like, there's so much going on, and Dave the Diver is perfect because it's small and bite sized and it's 35 hours. But like when you expand that out to this, it's just like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. So
if you're looking to like the value here, right? If you're like $70 game, I want to be like 100 hours. Well, that's here for you. But for me, it just sets in like a fatigue at some point, and I'm just getting burnt out. Like I'm losing interest in the characters and the side quest.
You're fantasizing about the next game you get to play.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to beat this so I can delete it off my console and move on. And it definitely has that issue. And since it's bringing a lot of characters back from the previous game, there's not the same, like, they're just like they're known quantities. It's the allure of like, oh, I'm paired with a homeless man and retired detective and a a lady who runs a hostess bar. Like, what a wacky group of characters we are. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
look at
they're
us,
all
huh?
back and they're just the same. So it's losing a lot of the same like luster that it had, like I said, in the previous game when I played it, and I was driven by these really weird and interesting characters. And then, the bad guy in the last game was much more interesting than the bad guy in this. He's kind of cartoonish James Bond villain, and there's a lot of villains like that. Danny Trejo's in this game as a villain.
Danny Trejo?
Yeah, he's in this game as a
Danny
villain.
Trejo might be the guy in the most amount of video games.
Probably, if you looked it up.
Primarily movie actor. He's in so much shit.
But yeah, it's a huge game. The combat is still exciting. All these extra modes are fun. Just there's just too much of it. So I'm going to put this at an 8 out of 10 for me personally. I'd recommend the last game before this one. Even though I think there's a lot of smart improvements to the battle system here.
If the game perfectly lengthed, I'm making a word, itself for you, would it be a 9? Would you say? Like just on like a gameplay, everything?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Like I said, the gameplay is better. You free roam, like battles are just people shuffling around, and they added this mechanic where you can actually position your character. So like battles matter where people are.
That's like almost like I feel like an exact series as the South Park games, where the Stick of Truth was just it's just turn based, and then the Fracture Butthole you could start positioning
right
and spots.
Yeah, and the charm's there, the humor's there. There's so much voice dialogue. It is impressive how many lines of dialogue they record for these video games. That it's as an overall package, I recommend it. It's just like buckle in, and if you played Rebirth this year, you might be like, oh, or if you're looking for a metaphor this year, you're going, oh, or Persona 3 Reload or Grand Blue Fantasy, all the other RPGs that have come out this year.
Yeah,
this might burn you out, and yeah, I'm definitely getting there toward the end here.
All right, Nick, it's the year 2026.
Okay,
Like a Dragon, Infinite Buttholes just came out. It's got a 92 on Metacritic. Are you playing it?
Maybe if they go new character.
Okay.
I think if there's a new character, I'd be in more.
All right, it's the year 2026. You have absolutely nothing to play. Is there
Not
a
likely.
chance you play Yakuza 0 ever?
No.
Okay. So
I will not go back to the other
Got it.
7 games.
Okay.
And spin-offs and everything else. No, this is I'll go to the future of this franchise if it is interesting enough. And I know they've done a lot of spin-offs to like Lost Judgment and stuff like that. So, but
Which almost probably might seem more. Well, maybe not more your speed. You're a goofy guy. You like goofy shit. So yeah, depends on your mood probably.
yeah, exactly. It's just yeah, they found a formula, and they probably, again, with the reusing of assets, a lot of the stuff from the last game is here. That the studio probably runs pretty efficiently.
Yeah, it's interesting how in this era of games taking 8 years to make, there's just a couple teams out there that they figured it out. They just got it down. You know, through smart decision making of using the same places like them, or
Yeah, and they have an audience. Like looking at just like trophy completion data, like over half the people reach the ending of this game that play it on PlayStation. So
how many copies of Yakuza 0 have been sold?
why are you so obsessed with 0?
I don't know. I just feel like that's everybody's like kind of like I feel like that's people's best one and a good place to start.
Well, that was the one before Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth, or Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah, but it's the first one chronologically.
Right. Is a prequel. Yeah.
2 million plus. So, okay, yeah. Good selling franchise.
Yeah, I'll be happy to put it behind me.
Yeah, I would too. All right. Let's finish this thing up, Nick. we July 16th is the official end date.
Yep. Our video game character battle royale has reached its conclusion. As we mentioned last week, it was Dante and Zagreus, our last 2 fighters.
And then Kratos came in from the top rope.
Yeah,
it's like the Undertaker. He's never dead.
Did you think? Well, we'll say who won in a second here, but would these guys have been in your prediction for the
Not Zagreus. I think I mentioned it last episode. There's 3 fighters that I kind of felt had the just like who's gonna fuck with them.
Yeah, but you took this from. You were more practical thinking about this, not from popularity of characters.
Sure. Yeah, so like no, I took it from like if these 2 are fighting, who wins the fight? And it was Kratos, Dante, and Doom Guy. Those were the 3 that I was kind of like, I don't know how you fuck around with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, surprised, but not crazy. I was more surprised by. I think the biggest surprise of the entire tournament was Rayman and Crash Bandicoot. Those were the 2. I think Rayman got to the Elite 8, right? Mm-hmm. Which is just insanity. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a pretty expected tournament, I think.
Yeah. Crash has a fan base out there who's obviously sneaking in on our polls because
I think it's there's just something in the Twitter algorithm.
He got a lot of votes and
he's still to this day probably the character that is most intertwined with PlayStation still, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, and that he's technically an Xbox franchise now.
Yeah. But all right, you want to go for the results?
Yeah, hand it to the Devil Hunter Dante. He is our champion.
He's the man.
He survived countless people to make it here, and
yeah. Let's see, who did he? Because you have all the lists, right?
I do.
All the matchups. Yeah. So he first defeated Sam Porter Bridges.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing crazy there.
Good first matchup into Ratchet. It's another pretty solid, easy round. And then he took down Sub-Zero, probably his biggest enemy. And then he took down Fox McCloud. And then he took down 2B. And then he defeated Zagreus. So I would say he had a pretty easy path until the end.
Yeah.
Which is expected to happen. When I was trying to come up with 60 fighters in a thing. Obviously, I started to stretch with some of the characters like Pac-Man and like whatever. But I think that is a very appropriate spot to land. I think I got some good data. And we're just going to redo it, see if we get the same results. We're just going to go again. Start from the
No, not happening.
But I'm trying to get Nick to play because he's never played Devil May Cry 5. I think he would really enjoy it, but obviously he's got plans and stuff. But I think maybe if there's a lull or the game gets on a high enough sale, maybe we can get him to go through it and give his thoughts because it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I played 1, 3, 4. And yeah, I missed 2 and 5.
And you played DMC, right?
I did play DMC, yeah.
Yeah, why'd you skip 5 then? Like I know everybody skipped 2. I skipped 2.
I don't know. I think
weird that you skipped it.
I don't know. It's a weird game because it's like you got 3 different protagonists, and I wasn't a big fan of Nero from 4 either. So
V can suck my dick, dude. V's
okay, well that's even great. Yeah. The other character sucks too.
Nero's okay. Nero's at least fun to play with, but like V, you're like
he has a sweet weapon. A sword that you rev is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and like I'm sure there's a lot of people that like V. You're using these shadow demons to like kind of fight, but like I just remember not having a lot of control over them. But yeah, congrats to Dante. Well deserved, well earned. And I'll have to formulate some other way to spend 9 months on a podcast.
Well, like I said, we know how to talk about it. You put 3 topics, it's an hour and a half podcast. So don't feel like you have to stretch out a super topic.
Well, and then to celebrate Dante's victory, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, Nick, but the song going out today will be Devil Trigger from Devil May Cry 5, sung by Casey Edwards. So
it's a good choice.
It might have shown up on the show. I don't think so, but even if it did, it's a monumental occasion for our boy Dante. So
yeah, well earned. All right, well that's the 4 things.
There it is.
What do we got to tease? We obviously know we're Video Game Character Battle Royale, so
well, I would like to play more than just one boss fight in Shadow of the Erdtree. I was stuck against Messmer, who I thought was going to be the final boss of the game, but is kind of like a mid-game boss. And at least I looked it up. He is regarded as like the second hardest boss in this DLC. So I was like, okay, good. I was like, Jesus Christ. But it was one of those scenarios where I probably fought him 50 times, got to phase 2 6
multiple
times.
phases, great.
Oh, every Souls boss is that. Got to phase 2 like 6 times and never even got close. And then so I was talking to my son about how hard he was. I was like, yeah, you want to watch me fight him? And then the first time I fought him with Levi watching me, I beat him. So I don't know if he's a good luck charm or if I got lucky, but
You had to perform for an audience, so maybe you just brought your A game.
But it was one of those, like I was just cleaning up, just like everything was flowing perfect. And I get to the very end, and all of a sudden I get cocky and like,
yeah.
Oh, and then like I beat him with, if I got hit, I was done. If he,
wow.
So, but no, yeah. So for me, Elden Ring. I'm still playing the shitload of Slay. Maybe I'll bring Slay the Spire next week and talk about that. We'll see, because I've still been fucking around with that on my phone a lot. And yeah, that's probably all for me.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to think of some topics here. Yeah, I'll finish Infinite Wealth. And then PlayStation Stars came back finally.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about it being down for a month, and they've not really saying why.
Who cares?
But it's back.
It is weird that a loyalty rewards program was so fucked
Yeah.
that it had to be offline for a month. It's like, I bet there was like a group of people that figured out a way to get into like the store and like have like infinite like
right
or something. It had to have been something like that.
Right.
But I don't know.
But yeah, happy to say that it's back and I got my rewards. And
Did you buy Balatro yet?
No, but that is, I'm seeing what. Well, I'm waiting for me to finish this game before I load something else and be like, oh, I'll just check it out. And then Infinite Wealth is like, I'm not playing it.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see how sales go this week for just on PlayStation, because I have an extra $20 to throw at games.
And get that Bow Path of the Teal Lotus game.
Yeah, that's a good option. That's reviewing well.
Pretty.
But yeah, I'm gonna probably take Infinite Wealth into GameStop and probably have a story for that. Got some games to pre-order coming up here.
What's in early August? Anything?
Nothing I can
Because
think of.
I mean, it's Concord the Astrobot, right? That's about it.
Yeah, and Star Wars Outlaws.
All right, Star Wars Outlaws. That one.
Yeah. So yeah, August is
We're starting to get
Concord and the Star Wars
gonna get-
Outlaws, and then yeah, the first week of September is
Nick's gonna be
Boy
busy
Astrobot.
boy.
Oh.
Oh, that's right. Because July's like the Madden time, Madden and
College football.
Black Myth Wukong. That's August 20th.
Oh, there you go.
But I gotta admit, man, it seems like it's just a boss rush game, which doesn't make me as excited.
Really?
Yeah, it's
You don't
like-
explore?
You do. I think you do, but it's like they just put out another 30-minute video, and it's just fighting bosses.
Yeah,
That's all it
good
is. Like that's all they
interesting.
show, and maybe that there's a explorative thing, but like don't get me wrong, I love the boss fights in Soulsborne games, but every single time I get that feeling in my stomach, and I go, oh god, here we go. And sometimes I just like to go fuck around and find some new.
Well, here's a
shits.
question for you: Are you since you're used to the open world nature of Elden Ring, could you go to this game if it has anything? I don't know, but if it goes back to like the more traditional Dark Souls, which is not open world, is that fine?
I'm good with that. Yeah, personally, I'm good with that. I mean, I think Stellar Blade was kind of a interesting.
True.
It's,
That was-
I had a little bit of both, right? But
Yeah.
no, because I think part of, and not to talk about Souls for another 15 minutes, but I think part of the immediate allure of those games initially was how well designed the worlds were, right? Where you got these paths, and then like you got an elevator, and you're like, oh shit, I'm back over here, and
Yeah.
like this. Now I got a shortcut. Now my
I love that feeling.
Now my pathing is different, and FromSoft is just a masterclass of that. So, not saying other developers can pull it off to that degree, but yeah, that'd be okay with me.
Yeah. No, Jedi Survivor was the same way. You'd always open up like a sneaky way to get, to where you just came from.
Yep.
And you don't have to take the super long path that it took
I
to
almost,
get you there.
I do absolutely in Elden Ring because, again, I've talked about it, but I have my build. I don't need a new build. I don't like really getting new weapons. So every time I get something, I'm just like, no, that's a waste. So my favorite thing to do is, I'd rather get a shortcut than anything. Like, yes.
Right. Cool.
But, yep, that's it.
All right. So again, thanks for listening. We appreciate you spending your time with us week after week, and enjoy Dante's victory lap.
Yeah.
Enjoy the song, get pumped.
I'm gonna go pull my devil trigger later. Yeah, follow that one up, bitch.
I'm speechless here. I'm sorry, everyone who stayed to hear that innuendo. But yeah, again, thanks for listening. Rate us if you can on your platform of choice. And of course, we'll be back next week with up to 6 things. Bye.
Later.